Welcome to the Brainyface project. This is Michael from Binary Cafe. I'm opening up Photoshop because I want to do another tutorial. If we go through the fundamentals, we're going to be able to dive into some of the more advanced techniques, but you don't want to skip the fundamentals. You want to learn this stuff because this is what makes you very fast in the application. I've had people who watch me work in Photoshop say, that's really fast. How do you get around the application so quickly? It's because I use a keyboard shortcut. So in this tutorial, I want to show you how to navigate around, how to zoom, and I'm going to show you some keyboard shortcuts. This is fundamental Photoshop stuff. It's pretty easy, but it's so important. So last year I was in Vegas. They say what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas, but not if you take pictures, because if you take pictures you can share them with everybody. And I've got some pictures here that I took, and we're going to use these to do some zooming and navigation. Over on the left hand side of the screen I can see that I'm viewing this image at 25% of its actual size, and it's fit basically within the window. Now if I want to, I can view this image at 100%. And if I view at 100%, I can see that I have the ability to zoom into a particular location, but how do I zoom, and how do I zoom out, and how do I move the view within the window? Well, it's pretty easy. I've got a few different ways that I can do it. What I did to zoom to 100% is I used a keyboard shortcut. And you can see the keyboard shortcuts by going to View on the menu bar. And when you do that, you can see these few items for zooming. You've got zoom in, zoom out, fit on screen, and 100%. There's also a 200%. But if I want to, I can use Control on the keyboard. I'm using a PC, so you'd use Command if you were on a Mac. But that's what I did to zoom into 100%. So same thing, I click on it, no difference because I'm viewing at 100%. And if you notice in the lower left hand corner in the document window, I also have a percentage down there as well. I don't like to click and type in specific numerical values. That's not that helpful to me. I can if I want to. I can click in that box and highlight the text and type in like 50, press the enter key, and I'm zoomed to 50%. But that's not very efficient in my opinion. And it's also not very efficient to choose view and then do zoom out, and then click view and do zoom out, and then do view. You get the point. It just takes a long time. So use the keyboard shortcuts. If you want to zoom in or zoom out, just remember that Control on the keyboard and plus is zoom in, Control and minus on the keyboard is zoom out, and you just press those keys and it allows you to move around very quickly. By the way, if I go down to the lower left hand corner and highlight that numerical value in the window, this is a useful keyboard shortcut, not just for zooming, but in general in Photoshop. When a value is selected, if you want to, press the cursor up key on your keyboard. Notice that it changes in increments of 1. Press the cursor down, it's going to go down by 1. If you want to, you can force Photoshop to actually do increments of 10 or to reduce by 10 by holding down the shift key on the keyboard. If I hold down the shift key and I press cursor up, watch, that's going to jump to 71, then 81, 91. If I press the enter key on the keyboard, it jumps me to that value right there. So you can use the cursor keys to change those values up or down. I never do that. I just use the keyboard shortcuts to get around Photoshop and Illustrator as well. So that's a quick way to do it. View on the menu bar, and you can change the percentages there, but let's go ultra efficient. I'm going to show you a couple tools. You've got the hand tool, you've got the zoom tool. And instead of clicking on those, you can use keyboard shortcuts. Notice the parentheses and the Z. If I move up to the hand tool, it's a parenthesis H. That's a keyboard shortcut. So while I have my lasso tool selected right now, you can see that if I move my pointer into the document, I've got the lasso tool. Well, I remembered that the H tool was the hand tool, so I just press H on the keyboard. And what this allows me to do is with the hand tool, I can click to drag to move that view. I'm moving the view, not the actual pixels. I'm just changing the view to move, slide up, down, left, right, around the screen. And so that's a quick way for me to get around the image. If I double click on the hand tool, that will actually fit within the window here. So that's a quick way for me to do navigation. And when I have different tools selected, like the hand tool and the zoom tool, it's going to change this context sensitive menu up at the top, and I'll have different options. I can click to choose 100% or fit screen or fill screen when I have the hand tool selected. If I have the zoom tool selected, that allows me to very inefficiently click on the tool here, plus, 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 click on the minus, minus, minus as I click, and then I have different options here. The main thing I'm focusing on right now is the percentages. So again, 100%, fit screen, and fill screen. As we get into image compositing, we'll talk more about some of the options here, but I'll give you a little teaser for those as we get into some of the window tiling and stuff like that momentarily. Alright, so key point, use the hand tool or use the zoom tool. Now if I want to, I can actually use those tools not just by pressing H on the keyboard or Z, but I can temporarily override whatever tool is selected. Like, let me just go in here and choose this spot healing brush. I'm not going to use it, but I just want to make a point that that is the tool that is selected. And now if I want to, I can hold Control on the keyboard. I'm doing this with my pinky, Control with my pinky, and then I'm pressing the space bar with my thumb. It temporarily changes the tool to the zoom in tool, and now I can click, click, click if I want to. And since I have my ring finger and middle finger free, I'm going to use my index finger, and I'm reaching over and pressing Alt. At first it's going to feel awkward, but trust me, you get used to this. It's really efficient to use these keyboard shortcuts in Photoshop and Illustrator. So I'm holding Control with my pinky, spacebar with my thumb, and Alt with my index finger. And of course Control would be Command if you're on a Mac, and the Alt key would be Option. But if I click now, I can zoom out, and that's pretty easy. If I let go of all the keys on my keyboard, I go right back to my spot healing brush. So that's a great way for me to zoom in and out. I'm going to zoom in not by clicking on him right now, but by holding Control on the keyboard and spacebar, and I'm just going to click and hold my mouse button down, and I'm going to drag in so I can get into the area where his head is displayed super quickly. Alright, so that's a great way for me to zoom in. And if I wanted to reposition the view, remember the hand tool allows me to change that view. Well, check this out. Biggest button on the keyboard, the space bar, just press that. It automatically changes temporarily to the hand tool, and you can click and drag up, down, left, right, diagonally if you want to move the image within the screen. So those are some great keyboard shortcuts. I'm going to press Control and 0 on the keyboard. I use that one all the time, and that's just going to fit this into the window for me. And I'll show you the navigator. If we go to Window on the menu bar and go down to Navigator, this gives me a small preview panel which allows me to click to drag to zoom in and out. This becomes especially useful when you're doing retouching. Notice that there's a little marquee, a little rectangle here, and if I want to, if I'm working methodically throughout an image to do retouching, what I'll do is I'll zoom into a pretty tight percentage, and then what I'll do is I'll actually move my pointer up, click and drag that marquee to position it in the upper left hand corner, and then I'll do my image touch up, and then I'll click and drag to move it over. I'll do my image touch up on that section, and then I'll click and drag to move it over. And I'll just do that by working over and down and throughout this image here. So this gives me kind of a procedural way to touch up the image, and that's a really quick way to make sure that you've addressed all portions of an image. So that's the navigator panel. You can, if you want to, highlight the number in there. Remember, shift and cursor up or down allows you to quickly change those values with the keyboard, or if you want to, you can type in a numerical percentage, press the enter key on the keyboard, and it's going to type in that percentage, take you there. But again, I like to do Control 0. Alright. So just a couple more quick things I wanted to show you. It's when you're working with multiple windows, so I'm going to open up a couple of other images here really quick. Let's just open up, let's see, we'll just scroll down here. Vegas was fun to go through with a camera. Just a walk down Sunset Strip is unbelievable. the different people that you see and all the different the signs and just all the beautiful landscaping and everything. It's quite a crazy city to visit. It was a lot of fun. I'm just going to open up a couple more images just to make a couple of quick points here for demonstration purposes. Do I have any tilt shift images? If you know me, you know I love tilt shift images. I've got the one, but I think I've got another as well. That's just a beautiful shot. I didn't even have any filters. That's just the landscaping and the architecture there in Vegas. And let's open up one more tilt shift in the hotel. This was great because it actually had, yeah, that one right there, had these gigantic flowers and an indoor fountain, and that just turned out really cool. So when I have multiple images open, I can click on each of these tabs to select them so I can work in those images. If I want to, I can hold Control on the keyboard and then just tap the Tab key, and that allows me to cycle through those. If I hold Control on the keyboard and press Shift and Tab, that works the other way. It's also just as easy to click on those. But what I like to do is work with multiple images open at the same time. And in Photoshop CS6, if I want to, I can go to Window, and I can go to Arrange, and then I have the ability to view multiple images stacked or 4 up at the same time. And if I choose 4 up, notice that it just bam puts them all on the screen at the same time. If I want to, I can, and I just clicked on the move tool right here. I tend to go to that tool as a default by pressing V on the keyboard just so I don't screw things up. I just click, and I just clicked on that tool, and now I'm going to click on one of these windows. Let's just click on the statue again. And remember, Control on the keyboard and minus will allow me to zoom out, and I zoomed out to a percentage where the image fit on the screen. And what I want to do now is, instead of clicking on each one of the images that are open and then doing Control minus, check this out. I go to Window, I go to Arrange, and I just say Match Zoom. Now the key point I want to make here is it is going to match the zoom of all of the open windows to match the window that is currently selected. So let me just point out that this image here in the lower right hand corner of the statue is selected. I can see that the tab is a lighter color. It's kind of highlighted right now. These are darker, and this one right here is lighter. So if I say Window and I go to Arrange and I say Match Zoom, they all snap and they fit that particular percentage. So when I'm doing image compositing, I tend to use these keyboard shortcuts if I want to. Now, I know a lot of people use Mac, so the keyboard shortcuts aren't the same here, but if you go to the menu, that's a quick way to do it. What I also like to do on the PC is just hold down the Alt key and press W, because that's an underscored character. Alt and W will allow me to choose my window, and then I can just press A on the keyboard to go to Arrange. And then if I want to, for example, if I wanted to consolidate all these windows to tabs again, I've got C is the first item there for consolidate. I just touch C on the keyboard and it chooses that item. So I just remember Alt W and then A and then C. It consolidates them all. If I wanted to go to 4 tiled up windows again, I'd hold down Alt on the keyboard and press W. I would press A because it's underlined to choose Arrange, and then I could do 4, and then it's going to do 4 up. So I can really quickly arrange those windows. Alright, so well, that's enough for now. I'm working through these basic concepts here because this is fundamental knowledge. I can't wait to get into some of the more advanced compositing. I hope you enjoy these videos. I want you to learn Photoshop. I want you to be able to master it, to do all sorts of cool stuff, and just being able to zoom around the images and to manipulate the zoom is really important. So I'm going to say bye for now. Thanks for watching. Take care. Adios.